Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a bit different.
Yeah, definitely a unique focus.
We're diving deep into just one single source. It's a pretty controversial account.
Highly controversial, I'd say.
Right. And our goal here, our mission, is really just to unpack the specific source. We want to understand the story it tells, the details it includes, and, the questions the speaker raises within it.
Exactly. We're focused on extracting the narrative as presented.
We're not here to say if it's true or false, not validating, not refuting, just here's what the source claims.
And looking at it this way is, well, it's quite revealing about how public claims get constructed. You see how someone builds their case, what they decide to put forward as, let's say, evidence.
How they frame things.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So this deep dive gives you a really clear look at one specific detailed public story, and you get a feel for the mechanics behind putting such a narrative out there.
Okay, so let's get into it. Who is the speaker? Our source is an audio clip titled Obama's Ex-Boyfriend Blows Whistle. Michelle is a man and Obama is gay. 2016.mp3.
Quite a title.
Indeed. And the speaker in the recording identifies himself as Larry Sinclair. He says he's 46, living in Duluth, Minnesota, an American citizen.
And he's very upfront about his own past right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Which is interesting in itself, strategically.
But also,
Well, he admits openly a history of being a former recreational drug user, a drug trafficker, and also a convicted felon.
right, he mentions convictions for things like forgery, bad checks, theft by check, happening between 1980 and 86.
Yeah, and he even addresses his current legal situation at the time of the recording. He talks about a 1986 Florida warrant he says was dismissed and an active Colorado-only warrant for alleged theft and forgery, which he claims he's dealing with.
So he puts it all out there.
Exactly. It's a way of sort of getting ahead of it, you know. By disclosing potentially negative information himself, it can seem like transparency, maybe trying to disarm critics who might bring it up later, framing it as honesty.
That makes sense. He also talks about using different legal names over the years. His birth name, Lawrence Wayne Sinclair,
Then Loraie Silvis and Lorai Viscara Ayla.
before legally changing it back to Lawrence Wayne Sinclair in 1997.
Right. And he gives a very specific reason for coming forward with all this.
He does. He says it's to, and I'm quoting here, discharge my obligation as a citizen to witness this knowledge, and also to raise questions for others to investigate and consider.
So, framing it as a civic duty.
Driven, he says, by love for the country and his claimed personal knowledge of Barack Obama.
It's quite a setup. Positioning a personal and potentially damaging story as something done for the public good, despite, or maybe even because of, his admitted past.
Okay, so that's the background he provides. Now let's get to the core of his claims. It starts with an alleged incident back in November 1999.
Yes. He says he flew from Colorado Springs to Chicago on November 2nd, 1999.
The reason? To attend his godson's graduation from the Great Lakes Navy training facility.
Okay. Then, a few days later, on November 6, 1999, he says he was staying at a Comfort Inn and Suites in Gurnee, Illinois.
And he claims he hired a limousine and asked the driver, Mr. Jagir Pramutani, if he knew someone local, to socialize with, maybe show him Chicago.
And this is where the story really takes off. Sinclair alleges that this driver, Mr. Mutani, then used his own cell phone.
To call then Illinois State Senator Barack Obama?
Right. To arrange an introduction, according to Sinclair.
So Sinclair says he's introduced to Obama by name when he gets out of the limo. They're at a bar. He thinks it might have been called Alibis.
Thinks it was called Alibis, okay.
And then Sinclair recounts saying something like he needed a line or two to wake up.
A line or two.
And he alleges Obama asked if he meant Coke. Sinclair confirms. Then, according to the claim, Obama makes a phone call.
To someone Sinclair describes as a presently unknown individual.
To arrange, allegedly, a cocaine purchase.
Okay, the details here get very specific in his telling.
They do. He claims he and Obama left the bar, got back in the limo, drove to some unknown spot.
An unknown location.
Obama then supposedly gets out, taking $250 that Sinclair says he provided.
$250.
And comes back a short time later with what Sinclair calls an 8-ball of cocaine.
Which is a common term for about 3.5 grams.
Sinclair then claims he ingested some cocaine. And shortly after that, he alleges Obama produced a glass pipe.
A glass cylinder pipe, he specifies.
And a packet of cracked cocaine, and proceeded to smoke it.
Right there in the limo, according to the claim.
And then comes a very explicit sexual allegation.
Yes.
Sinclair claims that he performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine while Obama was allegedly smoking crack cocaine.
A very serious and specific claim.
After this, he says he had the driver take him back to his hotel, but the account doesn't stop there for that trip.
No, he claims there was a second encounter.
Right. He says the next day, November 7th, 1999, Obama showed up at his hotel room, unannounced, uninvited.
Okay.
And there, Sinclair alleges, they again ingested cocaine, and he again performed fellatio on Obama.
So 2 alleged instances of drug use and sexual acts within about 24 hours.
That's the claim. And it's interesting, he makes a point to emphasize something he sees as potential proof.
Ah, yes, the phone records.
Exactly. He stresses that the driver's call to Obama and Obama's alleged call to the drug dealer
Should appear on the driver's and Senator Obama's cell phone billing statements. That's his exact phrasing.
pointing towards potential verifiable data.
It's a common tactic in these kinds of narratives.
Yeah.
Anchored the extraordinary claims in something that sounds concrete and investigable, like phone bills. It sort of shifts the burden, suggesting the proof is out there if someone would just look.
Okay, so those are the core allegations from 1999. Now, the story jumps forward quite a bit. Sinclair describes trying to get the Obama campaign's attention years later.
Right, this moves to 2007 when Obama was running for president.
He says he contacted the campaign in September 2007, his stated reason.
He wanted Senator Obama to publicly correct his official statements about past drug use.
To specifically include using crack cocaine with Sinclair back in November 1999.
So initially, the contact was framed purely around the drug allegation, according to Sinclair.
Yes. He says he gave the campaign several callback numbers because he was moving around.
Okay.
Then he claims in late September or early October 2007, he gets a callback from a man identifying himself only as Mr. Young.
Mr. Young. And what did this Mr. Young allegedly want?
Sinclair says Mr. Young wanted to know who else Sinclair had told about the 1999 allegations.
Okay, seeking information.
But here's a twist Sinclair emphasizes. He claims he was shocked because Mr. Young allegedly asked him why he hadn't asked Obama to disclose the sexual encounters.
Ah, because Sinclair insists he had only mentioned the drug use to the campaign.
Correct. So Sinclair presents this as a sign that the campaign, or at least Mr. Young, somehow already knew about the sexual aspect he hadn't mentioned.
That's a significant turning point in his narrative. It implies knowledge beyond what he claims to have shared.
Then he describes a second call from this Mr. Young, mid to late October 2007.
And during this call,
Sinclair says he started to believe Mr. Young was personally involved with Senator Obama, citing what he calls the sexual nature of that conversation.
okay, so the alleged connection deepens.
And then it moves to text messages. Sinclair claims that later in October 2007, Mr. Young sent him a text.
A text message saying what?
Allegedly saying that Young himself was intimately involved with Senator Obama, and that Obama was talking with Young and his pastor about how to publicly acknowledge the 1999 drug use.
Wow. So admitting the drug use was being discussed, according to this alleged text.
Yes, and the text also allegedly conveyed that Obama wanted to make sure Sinclair hadn't gone to the media about either the sex or the drugs.
Interesting. Like damage control, perhaps?
Then Sinclair alleges another text came in mid to late November 2007.
Also from Mr. Young.
Yes. This one supposedly advising Sinclair that Obama was going to publicly correct his drug use statement and that Sinclair didn't need to worry about disclosing it himself.
So an assurance? Allegedly.
But then Sinclair describes a final contact in early December 2007.
And the tone changes.
Completely, according to him. He says Mr. Young made it clear Obama actually had no intention of acknowledging anything publicly. Sinclair felt Young had just been milking information from him.
So this sequence builds a narrative. Contact, inquiry, deepening connection, alleged assurances, and then perceived betrayal and manipulation. It's a classic whistleblower or accuser arc.
And this is where the story takes another very dark turn.
The connection to Donald Young.
Yes. Sinclair states that he later learned that a man named Donald Young, who was the choir director at Trinity United Church of Christ, Reverend Wright's church, Obama's former church,
And openly homosexual.
was murdered on December 23, 2007.
Just weeks after Sinclair's last alleged contact with the mysterious Mr. Young.
Sinclair implies a connection, though doesn't state it explicitly in this part. He does say he cooperated with Chicago police on the matter
How so?
by providing them the phone numbers he was using during that period, fall 2007, when he was allegedly communicating with Mr. Young.
And he released those numbers publicly, too.
Yes, he lists them, saying he hopes someone may be able to connect the dots. Again, putting the onus on others to investigate. We'll have those numbers in our notes if you're curious.
So a very serious implication added to the narrative.
Okay, let's move to the next phase Sinclair describes, what he calls efforts to discredit him.
This happens after he goes more public, right?
Yes, he says he posted a video on YouTube in January 2008 detailing his claims.
And the reaction.
Overwhelming, he says. But he claims it quickly led to a coordinated attack on his character online. Ever-increasing falsehoods circulating on the internet, is how he puts it.
A common experience for people making controversial public claims, whether true or false. The backlash can be intense.
So, in response to this alleged attack, Sinclair says he decided to take a polygraph test.
The so-called lie detector test, sponsored by whitehouse.com, he says.
Right. Now, polygraphs are, controversial. Their scientific validity is heavily debated.
And generally not admissible in court, which Sinclair himself points out later.
True. But Sinclair asserts the results from this test were partially revealed in a way designed to make him look like a liar.
So he disputes the portrayal of the results.
He does. He offers several counter-arguments to challenge the polygraph's legitimacy in his case.
Okay, what are they?
First, he questions the sponsor, whitehouse.com. He claims it was basically an anti-Clinton pornography site until just before his test in January 2008, sort of questioning their motive or credibility.
Raising doubts about the source of the test itself.
Second, he repeats the general criticism calls lie detectors junk science at best, citing the court's refusal to use them.
A standard critique of polygraphy.
Third, he brings in an outside expert, mentioning George W. Matchik, Ph.D., from antipolygraph.org, who apparently raised serious questions about the legitimacy of this particular examination.
So citing an anti-polygraph expert to support his case.
And fourth, this is interesting, he points to a specific finding within the test results reported by whitehouse.com's own examiner, a Dr. Gordon Barlin.
What finding?
He claims Dr. Barlin observed less than 1% probability of deception, specifically on the question about Senator Obama and drug use.
Less than 1%.
Which Sinclair describes as about as high a passing score as one could possibly obtain. So he's using a piece of their own reported data to argue he was telling the truth on that key point.
That's quite a strategic move, turning the opposition's own reported data against their alleged conclusion.
But then Sinclair makes an even more explosive allegation regarding this whole polygraph situation.
There's more.
He claims an anonymous source told him in February 2008 that the person behind whitehouse.com, Dan Parisi, received $750,000 from the Obama campaign.
$750,000. Allegedly funneled how?
He claims it was through David Axelrod's company, AK Media, and another entity, Message One Message and Media.
And the purpose of this alleged payment?
To organize an effort to publicly discredit him, Sinclair.
That is a massive allegation. A direct claim of a paid conspiracy involving campaign figures.
And Sinclair adds another layer. He says he actually confronted Dan Parisi about this $750,000 allegation.
He confronted him directly.
Yeah.
What does he claim happened?
He claims Parisi did not deny it. Instead, Sinclair alleges Parisi withdrew the second exonerating polygraph report of Dr. Gordon Barlin, presumably the one showing the low deception probability on the drug question.
So withdrawing potentially favorable results after being confronted.
That's Sinclair's claim. He also says Parisi failed to post the video of the polygraph session and removed related posts from the website. Sinclair presents all this as, like, a tacit admission or cover-up by Parisi,
portraying the lack of denial and the removal of information as evidence supporting his conspiracy claim.
Following all this, Sinclair says he filed a lawsuit.
A lawsuit trying to stop what he called the vicious lies.
Yes, and importantly, he was seeking subpoenas through the lawsuit. He wanted the identities of anonymous bloggers he believed were part of the discrediting effort.
To try and link them back to the Obama campaign.
And he also wanted those cell phone records, the ones related to his 1999 claims and the 2007 communications with Mr. Young, to try and prove his core allegations.
So using the legal system to try and force the disclosure of evidence he believes exists.
But, he states, the judge, Judge Henry Kennedy, refused to permit the suit to move forward.
So the lawsuit was stopped.
Meaning he couldn't get those subpoenas, couldn't compel the release of the identities or the phone records he sought.
Which, in his narrative, positions the legal system itself as another obstacle preventing the truth from coming out. It fits that pattern of external forces thwarting the accuser.
So that brings us near the end of the account presented in this source. How does Sinclair wrap it all up?
Well, he makes a concluding statement. He says he's told his story without the distortions.
Implying other versions are distorted.
Right. And then he says, the burden is now off of me. It is, he declares, for others to find the cooperating evidence of my story.
Again, placing the responsibility firmly on the listener or investigator.
And he gives some very specific leads for those potential investigators.
He does. He explicitly suggests locating the limousine driver, Mr. Mitani,
The driver from the 1999 incident.
and checking the telephone numbers related to Donald Young and Senator Obama.
The numbers connected to the alleged 2007 communications and the subsequent murder victim. So, very direct calls to action.
And finally, he concludes by listing 4 specific questions. He says he has asked these of Senator Obama, but claims Obama has refused to answer them.
Okay, what are the 4 questions he leaves us with?
1. Why won't Obama provide his cell phone numbers and records for November 3rd to 8th, 1999?
The period covering the alleged encounters.
2. Why won't Obama provide his cell phone numbers and records for September 2007 through December 23rd, 2007?
The period of alleged contact with Mr. Young, ending with Donald Young's murder date.
3. Why won't Obama provide email communications, personal and campaign, involving AK Media and Message One between January 18th and February 29th, 2008, for himself, David Axelrod, and someone named David Flew, presumably Plouffe?
That time frame covers the period right after Sinclair went public on YouTube and the polygraph incident, targeting communication related to the alleged discrediting campaign.
And 4. Why won't Obama provide proof of payments from those same entities, AK Media, the campaign, Axelrod, Plouffe, Obama's accounts for that same period, January 18th to February 29th, 2008?
Directly asking for financial records that could potentially support or refute his $750,000 payoff allegation.
So those are his 4 parting questions aimed directly at Obama.
And he mentions one last thing, the website, larrysinclair.org, where he claims related documents can be found.
Providing a resource for anyone wanting to, as he puts it, connect the dots themselves.
It really leaves the audience with a clear sense of his claims and what he believes constitutes unfinished business or unanswered questions.
Wow. That was quite a detailed account we've just walked through. This deep dive really laid out the specifics, didn't it? Exactly as Larry Sinclair articulated them in this source.
It really did. We've traced the narrative structure, the specific claims, the evidence he points to, the questions he poses.
It's really something. Being presented with such a detailed, singular narrative like this makes you think.
Absolutely. And perhaps that's the key takeaway for you, the listener. When you encounter information from a source like this one single voice, laying out a very detailed, very specific, very controversial story, what questions should you prioritize?
Yeah, how do you approach that?
How do you, as someone trying to understand things, navigate these complex public narratives, especially when they come with such direct demands for further investigation? What does that process look like for you?
That's definitely something to mull over. We hope you'll consider which parts of this deep dive stood out most to you, or maybe sparked new questions for your own thinking. Thanks for joining us today.